Now's the time to be part of the team at Team Toyota. Step up to the plate with a winning lineup of new Toyota models like the new 4Runner, Grand Highlander, and coming soon, the all-new 2026 RAV4. Or find something perfect for your game plan and your budget with over 300 certified used Toyotas available. And don't sweat a trip to the IL. Our service and collision centers will have you back in the game in no time. So slide into one of our 3 locations, Princeton, Langhorne, or Glen Mills, or take a swing online at teamtoyota.net. Welcome into Phillies Talk, presented by Team Toyota. I am Spencer McKercher, and I'm honored to bring in Bob Cooney. Bob, thanks for joining the show. I'm glad you're on. Last time we talked to you was during the trade deadline special. A lot of good things from that show, and then obviously a lot has happened since then. We'll start with the big news of really the Phillies past weekend, really the Phillies season right now going forward, and that is Zack Wheeler. The news comes out on Saturday that just kind of shocked everybody. Dave Dombrowski and head athletic trainer Paul Buchheit just kind of gathered all the media in the room after a 2-0 loss on Saturday in Washington, D.C. against the Nationals, and announced that Wheeler's going on the 15-day IL due to a blood clot in his upper right extremity, kind of near his shoulder. Then the Phillies obviously come out on Monday today and announce that he had the procedure to kind of clear that blood clot, but there is no timetable. Obviously, as a human being aspect with all these things, human aspects come first, and we're praying and thinking of Zack and his family. Things are bigger than baseball, and this is one of those things. However, the Phillies will try to move on without him, but just give me your initial reaction, especially when this news came out kind of seemingly out of nowhere. We obviously knew he had the shoulder issues. He said he had a little shoulder soreness, but then this news comes out and it's like, oh man, what's happened to Zack?
Yeah, and you know what, Spencer? Thank God that he described it the way he did to the training staff, saying he had a heaviness in the shoulder, like heaviness. And you're thinking, anywhere up here, a heaviness, you're probably thinking more than what we all thought. A dead arm, tired, whatever it was. And the Washington Nationals training staff and the Phillies training staff did exactly what needed to be done. Yeah, you hear anything like that, sports goes out the window. I mean, it does. I've been around longer than you and some other people and seen things not like this, but things that scare you beyond the sport. And this is what that was. And yeah, baseball goes out of my mind when I heard that the other night, when I heard that on Friday. So obviously his health comes first. Baseball comes second. Anything from here on out, Spencer, meaning this year, the rest of his career, if he can play baseball again, great, good for him. If that's in his best interest and he can do it in a health manner, great. But first and foremost, it's Zack Wheeler. It's Zack Wheeler's family, and get him right. And pitching is really secondary right now, as much as Phillies hands understandably don't like to hear that.
Right. And it just stinks, especially having the season that he's been having. He's 10-5 with a 2.71 ERA in 24 starts. The Phillies are 16-8 in those 24 starts this season. Obviously, this rotation and the team kind of clicks when Zack Wheeler is clicking. And we saw another Cy Young hopeful year for Zack until this news. And we're not doctors here. And we've seen some of the stuff on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, even on Instagram, social media in general, of some of these other doctors coming out and saying like, hey, it's most likely, or it's unlikely that we'll see Zack Wheeler this season. Obviously, we'll hopefully see him going forward. What's your initial take? Do you think we see Zack Wheeler this season, or is this a maybe see it maybe in the middle of next season?
Yeah, I don't know, and I'm not even going to pretend like it.
Exactly.
The funny thing, Spencer, was we were in Cincinnati, right? And it was a couple of days. It might have been the day after his last. I forget exactly what it was, but he was out throwing. It was the day after, I think, his last outing, and he was out throwing flat throw out in the outfield. Throwing to a catcher. His normal stuff. And then he made his way over to the sidelines near the Phillies dugout. And he didn't even have a ball in his hand, just had his glove on. And he was looking at his feet during his windup. And he was like stopping in the middle. And I was thinking to myself, I'm sitting there watching. This is like 3 hours before the game. And I'm thinking, wow, what a perfectionist this guy is. He's looking to see if maybe the problems he's having isn't just up here, but maybe it's his footwork and all that. And we asked Rob Thompson, and Rob said, I don't know. He's such a perfectionist. That's just something he's going through. That made me think when I heard the news on Friday that, wow, he couldn't figure out what was going on, maybe. And he just didn't know. And again, I'll say it again, because Spencer, I've been around sports a while. You've been around sports. Some guys don't want to admit when something's wrong. And thank God he did. Thank God he went to that heaviness after saying he felt really good after that outing in Washington. He said he felt like something turned around. He felt good. But thank God a couple hours later he mentioned, or however long it was, that there was heaviness there, and, that they got it all taken care of. So that's as far as the future, Spencer. I don't know. I'm not even going to speculate. I don't care as much about his baseball stuff. I look at a guy like that, 35 years old, whatever he is. That's your life. Your life comes first, and take care of that. See where he is. See how he has to heal, and then baseball be wherever it is. As much as Philly fans, like I said, cringe at that, but that's where it is.
That's well said. I think I'm 100% with you. And again, yeah, same thing. As soon as I heard the news on Saturday, my immediate thought was just him and his family. And I believe we heard from Rob Thompson on Monday here. As we sit down to record this podcast on Monday, we'll get to an exciting win on Monday night here. As you guys will get this, you're listening to this on Tuesday morning. But Rob Thompson mentioned it on Monday. We've heard Matt Strahm even talk about it before the game. We heard all his teammates. We heard Taijuan Walker and Kyle Schwarber talk about it after the loss on Saturday as well. It's just, and Zach is such a great human being, let alone great teammate. We've heard all the fun stories that Matt Gelb wrote, the fun story about how Zach is never really in the gym and doesn't really come to the cookouts and doesn't really respond to the group chats and all that stuff. But that's just Zach being Zach. And he's become such a big leader in this clubhouse. And going forward, he will be missed. He will be missed in this clubhouse. Yeah. And hopefully we'll still see him maybe at the ballpark at some point this season, whether that's on the mound or not. But just to see his face again, I think would make a lot of Phillies fans happy and his teammates happy as well.
Oh, it'd be huge. And it's funny you mentioned that he doesn't go to the gym. He was walking through, it was either the clubhouse or on the field the other day. And I don't know who I was standing next to. And I said, my God, if you were to see that guy in a crowd and say, yeah, that's one of the best pitchers, if not the best pitcher in all of baseball, there'd be a lot of people that would doubt that. He just doesn't look the part, whatever. But, he's a great businessman. And his business is pitching baseball. And, the example I gave earlier where he's looking at his feet and trying to figure something out without even throwing a baseball. That's who he is. That's why he's become as good as he's become. And, fingers crossed that he's healthy and everything's okay in his life moving forward. And if baseball's a part of it, so be it.
Exactly. Yeah, and it was great to see his brother tweeted out something today of just, he hears all the well wishes and all that stuff. And hopefully all we can do is sit here and make sure that Zack Wheeler is okay moving forward. And hopefully after this procedure today, that helps a little bit. And hopefully going forward, Zack is okay. Do you want to start with, following up on the Zack news, do you want to go to the negative or do you want to go to the positive here?
You always give the negative stuff first. What I was told as a little kid, when you show your parents test papers that they have to sign, give the bad ones first and the good ones last, so that's what they remember most. So go ahead.
That's fantastic. So the offense, obviously on Saturday in the 2-0 loss, dormant, not really there. So we're not really worried about the offense, but we'll focus on Aaron Nola. His first start since May 14th on Sunday. Early morning, 11:35 start in Washington, D.C. in that series finale against the Nationals. The Phils end up splitting that series. I wish it could have been 3 out of 4 or even a 4-game sweep. They'll take the split. But Nola, he was cruising. I didn't get a chance to watch too much of the beginning of the game. I turned it on in the second inning, though, and he was cruising.
Oh,
I
were you
went back
still
out,
sleeping or something?
not sleeping. No, I was actually out hanging with some family over the weekend, so it was great.
Okay,
But
good man.
but I did wake up right before first pitch. I will say that. Um, but then no, he comes out, and then I go out, come back, and it's 6-6, and it was just kind of like, oh no, Knowles, I hope this isn't what we've seen previously. What did you see? He finishes his night, two and a third, 7 hits, 6 earned, one walk, 4 strikeouts. What did you see in Nola's first start in almost 3 months?
Yeah, it's a shame because early on the knuckle curve was going very well. His placement was really good, I thought. Had a little trouble in the first inning, and I went back to his last start, or one of his starts at Lehigh Valley. He had like a 25 pitch first inning and then rebounded for the next 4 and had a decent outing and all. So there's going to be rust. There's going to be that. Uh, if you look at that, you're going to have the happiness of it. Okay, it's his first outing and how long. He looked okay for a couple innings. It's bad that he let up what he let up. You could also go the other way and say, well, he was 1-6, 1-7 his first starts with the Phillies this year. Has he lost it? I don't know. I don't know where he is. The hope is that he can be an Aaron Nola of old. There's going to be rust there for first few outings, and there's going to be catch-up work to be done. But, if you're looking at it, whereas his rehabilitation was basically designed after spring training. So that's how they always talked about it, Rob Thompson and company and Dave Dombrowski. That's how Aaron Nola talked about it, that they viewed his rehab as spring training, and they went along like those 30 days as such. Okay, so he should be ready like this is the beginning of the year. And that's not a good beginning of the year, obviously. So with Wheeler going down, things are different, and you're going to need Aaron Nola to give you 5-6 innings when he does come out and give him, some pretty good innings, Spencer.
I think my thing, just going in, my expectations were high. We saw him struggle before he went on the injured list for the literal last 3 months. Then the few rehab starts that he had, especially the one that he finished up with, where he went 5 1/3, struck out 11. My hopes were like, okay, we got the Knowles back. We got summertime Aaron Nola, where he likes pitching in the heat. The fastball starts right. You mentioned the knuckle curve. That starts moving. And then this comes out, and it's disappointing, especially coming off of the news of Zack Wheeler, because as you mentioned, they're going to need the starting rotation to step up big time. Whether they continue to go to a 6-man, whether that's Andrew Painter, we'll get to that in a second. But Christopher Sanchez now has a massive, backpack to carry going forward here. He's been carrying it all season, but he's also been okay being that number 2 guy behind Wheeler. But if Nola's not bringing the Nola stuff that we're used to, I think Christopher Sanchez, the pressure is going to be immense on him.
Yeah, I agree. He's impressed me this year, Sanchez, not only with what he's done, but the way he reacts after games, between games, his demeanor in the clubhouse, all of those things. It's really been impressive. And Rob Thompson's talked about his maturity level, how it's grown over the years. Now, I think he's 28 years old now, whatever it is. But there's different things that Rob Thompson alludes to about his composure when things aren't going his way. And a couple of those things have been fielding, making good plays in the field and not rushing and committing an error, but instead taking his time and getting the out, or getting guys on base and taking a deep breath and throwing balls where they need to go. I've been nothing but thoroughly impressed with him. Now, the little thing you got to look with a side eye at is the amount of innings he's pitched and the workload that they're putting on him. And I think that was in the back of the team's mind when they thought they could go with a 6-man rotation once Aaron Nola got back and Taijuan Walker would stay there. Well, now that all changes, that Zack Wheeler's gone. And as you alluded to earlier, and I'm sure we'll talk about, then you start talking about Andrew Painter. Does he come up? It's a lot there, and there's some things you have to think about of how many innings you are given and have given Christopher Sanchez so far.
It's interesting just going forward. Like I said, I think hopefully the pressure's not too much. What's now, say the playoffs start tomorrow and we have Christopher Sanchez, I think would be my game 1 starter. I think you would probably agree that he'd be your game 1 starter. What do the next 2 games look like, especially in a best of 3 out of 5 series in that National League Division Series? Who do you go to game 2 and obviously game 3?
Yeah, it's I don't want to avoid the question, but you got to let the rest of the season play out. Like Ranger
100%.
Suarez had a great pitching night on Monday night. He looked on Monday to me of the Ranger Suarez of old, and that doesn't mean just the results. It means his demeanor, where his pitches were, how he went inside outside. A lot of things were really good with Ranger Suarez on Monday night. If he continues that out and starts pitching like he did at the beginning of the year, he's your guy. Does Lazardo all of a sudden find how to pitch out of the stretch and decide that or realize that he's okay when he does it a certain way? And if he gets back to where he was at the beginning, but again, now you're loading a lot of innings on him who's not used to it. So I don't know. I really don't. And Rob Thompson's a big fan of lefty righty, whether it's batting or pitching. So if you're starting a series with a lefty, I would assume he'd want to come back with a righty. Who that might be, I don't know. I really do, Spencer, think that this is going to have to play out for the rest of this season and see who's hot and whether Andrew Painter comes up or not. And if he does, how he does.
I agree. I would like to say that Aaron Nola is your game 2 starter. Heck, maybe even your game 1 starter, depending on how much load Christopher Sanchez takes on here as the season rolls on. We just need to see the old Aaron Nola. We can't see the 2025 version of Aaron Nola going forward.
And you know what I was thinking about tonight too was it's funny you bring it up. If the Phillies start a series on the road and I don't know, Ranger Suarez is pitching so well at home, or if they start a series at home, would you maybe say, well, Ranger's been great at home. Let's throw him out for game 1 and save maybe Sanchez for a game on the road? Are these things that Rob Thompson has to think about and look at? Or is it as simple as, in baseball, nope, our number 1 starter, he goes number 1. I don't know. It's going to be an interesting way that it plays out for Rob Thompson.
We saw that last year with Sanchez. He had such great numbers at home, and they ended up waiting till they didn't want him pitching in game 3, which in New York, Aaron Nola ends up pitching game 3 in New York instead of game 2. We'll see. It would not surprise me if Rangers riding that hot hand going into the playoffs, especially if he comes off a performance like he had on Monday night. I could see him starting game 1. And how can you imagine? We just talked about him possibly being a bullpen arm in the playoff roster. Now here we are. We're, hey man, we might need you for game 1.
Yeah, it's funny how that all works out too. So we were in either Texas or Cincinnati the other day, and I said to Rob Thompson in our pregame meeting, I said, so can we just put an end to this Andrew Painter talk that he's going to come up? Because they were pushing him back a start or maybe even giving him a rest down at Lehigh Valley. He's pitched a lot of innings. We were hearing about a 6-man rotation, but Taijuan Walker was the 6th guy. And Thompson said something that became, unfortunately, awfully true a couple of days later. He said, you never know how this is going to play out. You never know if an injury could occur and we might need him. We just don't know. We can't. And I do think at the time that it was scratched, that if everything was okay, Andrew Painter was going to stay down in Lehigh Valley. Now, of course, Zack Wheeler goes out. Where does it go now? I don't know, but I think a keener eye now, even more so, has to be kept on the next few starts by Painter and see what happens.
It is. And it's the Painter situation is so interesting just because, like you said, if this was 2 weeks ago, and me and Sean alluded to it on the last podcast, I don't think we won't see Andrew Painter in 2025. The way he's been struggling, the way his command has not been, the velocity's there, but the command has just been not great in his few starts in AAA this season. And it was like, okay, maybe there's no point of bringing him up here, throwing him in high pressure situations, especially as the season winds down here, and having the guy possibly get shelled. But now it's a whole different scenario. And I think, with like a lack of a top 3 kind of starter, it wouldn't surprise me if we do see Andrew Painter. Now, is there another name that we could see possibly? I saw the name of Griff McGarry get thrown out there. He's been in AA. Griff McGarry's been talked about for the last 3 or 4 years. I've talked to him a bunch in spring training when I've been down there. Hasn't kind of made that leap as fast as the Phillies have wanted him to. But is Griff McGarry possibly in play if they don't want to go to Andrew Painter?
Well, he's pitching well now, isn't he? I mean, his numbers
have
been really, really good lately. And when you talk about playoffs, whether it's offense or pitching, who's hot? Like, who's hot? Who can you trust? Is a Griff McGarry a guy that you would say, well, let's bring him up and throw him in the bullpen and let him come out and throw whatever he has there? My ideal thing in my head, and I've been thinking about this throughout the year, was when the Phillies get to the playoffs, if they get to the playoffs and they had a full rotation, I thought Jesus Luzardo coming out of the pen for an inning or whatever would have been really cool, 98 miles an hour and throwing his stuff. And that's something you could look at. This Zack Wheeler thing not only hurts the starting rotation, but it also probably hurts the bullpen because of who you were going to put back there in a playoff time when you don't need 5 starting pitchers. So it's going to be really interesting how this all plays out. I would love to give some more insight about how it may, but with this Wheeler thing, I think it threw obviously a little crink in not only the starting pitching for the Phillies, but maybe even the bullpen and how they were going to approach that come playoff time.
Completely agree. All right, Kaner, switching gears real quick. You know why? Football season is quickly approaching. We're about 8 weeks away from the Eagles hosting the Cowboys on Thursday Night Football. They'll be raising that beautiful Super Bowl banner. I'm pretty fired up. You have to be too.
Super fired up. Birds coming off of the Super Bowl win. NFL season not far away, like you said. I'm excited. I'm ready to see the Eagles defend that Super Bowl trophy. Should be a fun year.
Oh, it's going to be a fun year. And you know what else is always fun? Our friends at Philly Sports Trips. Join NBC Sports Philadelphia and Philly Sports Trips for the ultimate fan experience. Lock in your spot today and be a part of the Birds Takeover in Kansas City. It's the weekend of September 13th through the 16th. Rematch of the Super Bowl. Game is going to be electric. We already know that. We can't wait for those Birds, and we can't wait for that game. Book now. Going back to Painter real fast, I think they do because they were, I think the Phillies were maybe worried about bringing him up here. And like I mentioned, maybe getting shelled and all that, and it doesn't work out. And here's the big prospect that we've been waiting 3 years for, and it doesn't work out. But now I feel like if it doesn't pan out, it's like, okay, well, we had to try this, right? It's kind of one of those things where if it doesn't work, you have a fallback plan. It's like, hey, Zack Wheeler went down. We needed this guy to see what he can do. So I think there's a high increase in likelihood that we see Andrew Painter at some point this season. And what a just change of mindset. After a week ago, I was like, there's no chance we see this guy coming up this season.
Yeah. And, the scary part is when we talk about him, they talk about, he hasn't had this since the Tommy John surgery. He hasn't had this amount of work in years and all that. So when that came out, it made my ears ring a little bit and say, well, like I said, before Wheeler got hurt, they're not going to bring him up because they're talking about how much he's pitched already. And if they bring him up now you're talking about what? 6 more starts, something, 5
Probably
more
around
starts,
there.
whatever.
Yeah.
Do you bring him up and throw him in the pen? Is that what you're talking about, Spence? I don't know. I don't know. I don't think their confidence level at the major league level is high right now. So, and it's not really a chance you can take unless you get like 8-9 games up on the Mets and you bring them up and you say, well, let's just take a look. And I don't know. I do think, as much as I'm saying I'm not sure, I really do think the Phillies are kind of in that same position too.
I think and it's just we talk about how the ebbs and flows of a season happen. And now here we are where it is August 18th. You'll listen to this on August 19th, and there is not that much season left. And here we are talking about either Andrew Painter coming up or not, just based on Zack Wheeler going down. You mentioned the lead. The Mets were off on Monday night, so the Phillies, with a 12-7 win over the Mariners, do increase that National League East Division lead by half game. It's back up to 5.5. Before we get to a fun offensive night on Monday, you mentioned the bullpen too, and we didn't even talk about it because it's a story that kind of went under the radar, even though it was the top news story of the day on Friday. It's Duran. Everyone held their breath. I was pretty scared, especially when he kind of didn't put any weight on that right ankle. Just a sigh of relief on Saturday afternoon before that game on Saturday night of, hey, he was feeling 100%. He didn't really want to walk down 40 steps where that massive Nationals clubhouse is. But I think a huge sigh of relief, especially when he comes in on Sunday and he's throwing 102 to end the game.
Yeah. And I got to, I understood it. And I believe me, I cringe when I hear this or whatever, but I was playing a game one time and got hit on a foot on a Friday night. It was weird because my brother-in-law was getting married on Saturday and I was in the wedding.
Oh no.
So I took a line drive off the foot, and I'm not kidding you, I could not walk on Friday night.
Oh.
And my wife was ready to kill me. I was ready to kill myself. Like, I probably shouldn't have been there in the first place. But I woke up Saturday and it was fine. And then
Yep.
when I heard them talk about it might have hit a nerve and that's what it was, and it went away. Like, I understood. We've all seen a million injuries, and mine doesn't compare, but I understood it a lot more. And that was such good news. Because honestly, the Zack Wheeler thing, as hurtful as it is, when I saw that happen to Duran, I honestly started thinking like this might ruin their season.
Yep.
Because you know what it's like, Spence? Like, when they got him and you see what he is, it's unbelievable how much different the game has changed for Rob Thompson and the Phillies since getting him. It's a 7-inning game now. It's an 8-inning game now.
Yep.
It's not that you remember what it felt like. Oh, all right, here we go to the ninth. Is it Kirkering? Is it Strom? Is it somebody else? Like, oh, Lord,
hell, even a few years ago, is it Kimbrel? What are we doing here? Yeah.
Yeah. And it
Exactly.
it felt to me like it gave a sense of relief to not only the clubhouse, but the Phillies fans in general. And like, sitting at a game and having my friends text me like, it's over, 8th inning in a 3-2 game, and I'm responding, yeah, you're probably right. That's where you are with him. So getting him back was huge, and thank God it was nothing more than what it was.
Same. And I know a lot of people were saying, it was only 94. 94 is still 94 off the ankle. That still hurts. And as you mentioned, yeah, that you lose feeling. I feel like it is. I feel like the adrenaline wore off when he was running towards the ground ball that goes towards the Nationals dugout. And it's immediate panic in his mind, I'm sure, of like, oh my gosh, it just feels awful, I'm sure. So yeah, just a huge sigh of relief from the Phillies and their Phillies fans, just to not have Jahan Duran injured long term. So we didn't get to see him on Monday night. A lot of people are still clamoring for it. Long
Not tonight.
10-game road
No,
trip.
didn't want to. I'm sorry, didn't want to see it on Monday night. No.
Not tonight. Not on Monday yet.
No.
Just
no.
And Tom mentioned in the broadcast. Well, now we'll kind of switch gears here. We're going to stick negative, and then I promise we'll get positive here in a second. We'll kind of keep it on the bullpen train here. But Tom mentioned on the broadcast, 10-game road trip. It felt like they haven't been back here in a month. I almost forgot. I was driving into the office today, and I saw people in Phillies gear. I'm like, are they going out to a bar? Like, where are they? Nice. We're going to like watch the game somewhere. I'm like, oh my God, it's a home game. It's felt like so long. Felt good to be back at home. Monday night, fun. They have an 11-4 lead. Again, we're going to get to the offense, I promise, in a few minutes here. But I want one more bullpen question, because what was a sizable lead? It was a 7-0 lead at one point. Ranger Suarez lets up a home run to make it 7-1. He gets pulled after he hits a Mariner. Standing ovation again. Shout out to Ranger. Huge night for him. Tied his career high with 10 strikeouts on Monday night. And then here comes Jordan Romano. And it's a 7-1. No, not a high leverage situation whatsoever. Obviously, he inherits a few runners, but then lets up a 3-run home run. Jose Alvarado is coming back on Tuesday. So by the time you're listening to this podcast, the news could come out. But if you're the Phillies brass right now, we just saw the move for Max Lazard. He got sent down after he's been struggling. What's the subsequent move, especially after we saw another Jordan Romano blow up? Is it possibly a DFA? He has no options. What's the Phillies' plans here with Jordan Romano after another not great outing?
I don't think so. I think he stays here. Nolan Hoffman pitched on Monday night, and God bless him, first outing in the major leagues and all that stuff. But
For sure.
I think he probably goes. I'm not positive of the rules. I think he can go right back down.
I think so.
Yeah. So I don't think they're going to give up on Jordan Romano in that way yet, or probably ever. The guy has done it in the major leagues. You're not going to have a rookie come up and say, yeah, okay, we'll keep you, and we're going to get rid of a Jordan Romano who's been an all-star and all that stuff, who does know how to pitch in the league, but hasn't done it well this year. And we were in Cincinnati the other day, and I sat down and talked with him, and just the two of us. And I said, what's it like for you? I said, I don't want to just bring up the negative. I said, but, at the time, he had gone through like a 10 outings where he hadn't given up a run or a hit. A third of an inning here and there, 2/3 of an inning here and there, nothing major, but he was on a pretty much of a hot streak. And he said, yeah, it just sucks. I get so ticked at myself when I give up what I give up. And it's been a really frustrating year. If you've seen Jordan Romano in the clubhouse, he is one of the funniest guys. He seems like he's always upbeat. He's always bopping around, talking this and that. And that's what I talked to him about. I said, how hard is it to keep up that? He goes, well, that's who I am. He said, but it has been harder this year because I haven't been pitching well. And he said it's a surprise to him. And he said, look, I hear the boos. I understand. He wasn't one of those, I can't believe they're booing me. He's like, I understand because I've been not good. But he's hoping that he can find it before the year. He kind of knows what he has to do. Can he physically do it? That's the question. So we'll see what it is. But I'll tell you, Spencer, I'd be shocked if they say something like, yeah, Jordan Romano, yeah, we'll see you later, but we're going to keep Nolan Hoffman around. That would shock me.
I completely agree. And it's funny, it's not even funny. Just these fans that are just clamoring. They've been clamoring for a while now, and it does. And it's great to hear Romano kind of open up as a person, because I've seen people, and I've had friends ask me, like, what's he like in the clubhouse? Do all the guys like get together with, like, yeah, he's a member of this bullpen. We know this bullpen's been close, even with the exit of Jeff Hoffman. Once he left, Orion Kirkering, Matt Strom, that's their bullpen now, and even Jose Alvarado, and they've included him on everything. They're all great friends. It has been tough to watch him struggle the way that he struggled this season, and especially with high expectations. And Dave Dombrowski brings him in this season. Things are hopefully great, or they were supposed to be great. Obviously, he had the elbow injury coming off that, where he didn't pitch a lot last season with the Blue Jays. But it is tough. And yeah, I don't see them doing that DFA. It would just be, like you said, a shock if we ended up seeing that, especially with a month and some change left in the season. We know the back end of the bullpen is pretty much locked down. Where Jordan Romano fits in the playoff situation, that's to be seen. But I still think he's on that roster, and I'm glad you agree.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it becomes situational. One hitter,
sure.
Something like that. Somebody that he's had success against, as we all know. Like when we get our pregame notes, we know what every pitcher does against every hitter. So it could be situational like that. He's not going to get demoted in the sense of he's going somewhere else. He's already been demoted in that he comes in games like tonight, where the game's 7-1, where it's a blowout one way or the other, where it's not a high leverage situation at all. Now, should he get himself to a point where he has 4 or 5 outings where he may look good, well, then, and you say a Tanner Banks or a David Robertson or somebody starts to go down a little bit, that's the ins and outs and the ebbs and flows of baseball, that maybe he will find himself in that before the year's over. But the plan right now, I can't imagine to get rid of him. I just imagine it's sit tight. We'll call you when we need you.
Exactly. And I still think the Phillies are going to need him. We've seen him kind of have these stretches where he struggled, and then he'll look really good in 3 or 4 outings later, and then he'll struggle again. So hopefully this is kind of on that peaks and valleys where it's going to be up and up for Jordan Romano as August rolls on here into September. Speaking of, I can't believe it's already August 18th, man. We are getting there.
Yeah, that's my pet peeve.
Yeah.
My pet peeve in life. Every day is 24 hours.
Let's go.
Every hour is 60 minutes. Every minute is 60 seconds. My pet peeve is when people say, oh, I can't believe it's August 18th already. Why? It comes after August 17th and it comes before August 19th. I've said that since I was on the radio, Spencer. Like that's like my pet peeve in life. Don't tell me the summer's gone fast. Same amount of time. All the time.
Same time, baby. Same time.
Time doesn't change.
I like that though. I'm gonna keep that one under the radar. That one's that's definitely gonna be used going forward. Let's finally get to this offense. They struggled in Washington. Obviously, Thursday, Friday, decent, not great. Saturday, they get shut out for the 5th time this season. Then they come back on Sunday and they erupt. Alec Boehm returns to the lineup. He hits a home run. Nick Castellanos finally breaks out of that slump. Yep. He hits a massive home run. And then they come here on Monday, invite one of the better teams in the American League, a team that's been fighting for the American League West Division. I think they're only now a few games back of the Astros. This Mariners team is good. They obviously have Cal Riley. Their lineup is loaded.
Yeah.
And it was such a beautiful sight to see this Phillies offense explode back at home. A season high 21 hits. Trey Turner 4 for 6. Alec Bohm was the only one without multi hits. The whole lineup had a hit by the third inning. Just a great all around night for that offense on Monday night.
Yeah, it was. And following a great all around day on Sunday in Washington. And it's funny. I'll give you an example. I have a friend of mine who's very successful in a business. We were talking the other day about some problems that he's having with his business. And I said, you know what? You're an extremist. When things are great, they're great. And when they're down, you stay on them. And I said to him, oh my God, you're like the Phillies offense. And I really did. And the extreme of them is, oh my God, how could they only get 3 hits against a Cincinnati guy who just came out of the minors and was horrible there in Green? And you hope that's not the case, because we've seen the extreme in the playoffs last year, right? I would like to see some consistency, and you're starting to get it. You're starting to get, like, Trey Turner has been absolutely. I did some numbers tonight, like Trey Turner, 5 straight multiple hit games that we all heard about after Monday night. Since August 6th, he's 22 for 51. That's a 431 average since August. Like, that's incredible. He's had insane. 2 5 RBI games during that time. Like, he's the catalyst. There's no question about it. And I think he's had a really, really good year. And I think that's something you need there. It makes Bryce Harper's job easier and Kyle Schwarber's job easier, through that. The outfield platoon thing. Brandon Marsh has been hitting 300 since, like, the end of April.
Insane.
I think he's got to be one of your everyday outfielders. Like, I know Rob Thompson keeps saying, we're going to platoon. They're supposed to be 6 days after the trade deadline. That passed. Max Kepler started to get his barrel on the ball, even though it didn't mean hits an awful lot, but they saw something, so they kept him in the lineup. I don't know if I can just say, Bader in center and Marsh in left and just go with it. But I'm kind of leaning there, like Castellanos is going to stay in right. We'll see how that all plays out. But, Harper's been really good lately. 2 home runs on Monday night. Schwarber, listen to this one, Spencer. I pulled this out of my butt tonight. Since June 22nd, he has been between 247 and 256 batting average. Like, think of that. For an extremist of a hitter, 190 a couple of years ago.
Yep.
He's been within 9 points in batting average for 2 months.
Yep. It's insane.
That's insane. And it's good. And we know the power numbers. So it's there. And you got to get Stott to keep going. JT Realmuto's been really good. Here's one for Realmuto I got for you. In the last 37 games, he's gotten a hit in 28 of them. That's consistency. That's the stuff that I'm looking for, Spencer. They need consistency. Forget the extremism. Get the consistency. And I think they're starting to get there a little bit more.
100%. And I got the vibe tonight, and it just, even watching the game, Bryce goes yard twice, 888 feet of home runs. He's the first player this season in Major League Baseball with a pair of 440 plus foot home runs in the game. The swing was just, it looked crisp and pure, and it goes to show that he can still continue to carry this offense, which we'll get to that as we wrap up. But it was that same feeling where they get the bats going in the second inning. Every single guy that came up to the plate had more confidence than I've seen in the last, week, maybe since Texas. I saw this confident lineup, but it felt like that playoff game against the Braves, against the Diamondbacks in games 1 and 2 in 2023, where it's just like, yeah, this offense is just going to keep hitting the ball. If a ball goes out of the yard, like JT Realmuto did to make it 6-0 at one point, Trey Turner obviously finally hits his first home run at Citizens Bank Park this year for his 1500th career hit, which is pretty sweet. But once that happened, I just got that same sense of, like, I feel like I was watching a playoff game where this offense is clicking the way it's supposed to click.
Right, exactly. And hopefully they can keep that, again, I'll say it, the consistent part of it, because what are the other aspects of the game? Well, since they got Johan Duran, look how good, except for Monday night, look how good the bullpen's been. I mean, it's like a 2.3 ERA. They're picking up Alvarado, Robertson, and Duran back there. That looks good. one of the things that I think is undersold a little bit here, Spencer, their defense has been phenomenal. And, people were on Trey Turner and all. I didn't mind Trey Turner's defense. Like, I thought his errors were like lack of concentration or just, not thinking things out. He's really addressed that. He's been really good. The outfield has been really good. We can't overlook that. And the starting pitching has been the best thing about this team all year long before, of course, Zack Wheeler got hurt. So they were playing such good fundamental baseball when we were on that road trip in Texas and the first part of Cincinnati. If they could keep that up with consistency, this is going to be a really hard team to beat.
That's what everyone wants to see here in Philadelphia, is that same team that we saw tonight and that we saw early in 2022 and or in the playoffs in 2022 and in 2023. Just real quick to wrap up on Trey, he now has 151 hits this season. He increased that lead. He came into tonight only a few up on Luis Ariz for second in the National League. He now has an 11-hit lead over Luis Ariz for that lead, and he's only 3 back of Bo Bichette for the major league lead in hits. It's been a very kind of under-the-radar year for Trey, and he mentioned talking to T-Mac and John Kruk in the booth after the game that he was just okay with hitting 20 home runs on the road if it wasn't going to be at home. So I think having that monkey off his back finally with a home run at home, it's just been a remarkable season for Trey. And you mentioned his defense. I think with him kind of going offensively, that has brought the confidence back defensively for Trey too. And that's such a good sign to see going forward. Is there anything else you want to hit on Monday's win?
No, I don't know if we've brought it up enough, but I thought Ranger Suarez kind of just
100%.
really turned the corner, Spencer. Like I've seen his last 5 outings and I know he was getting pissed off at us asking him, bringing up velocity, and he's rolling his eyes. And it's not that we were bothering him. It's that, he knows it. He knows It was down. He's got to pitch to spots, but I'm sorry if you miss spots at 84 as opposed to 87, things are going to happen. And tonight I thought it was back up the velocity a little bit. Not that that's not the end all be all when it comes to Ranger Suarez, but it does help. His curveball was absolutely phenomenal on Monday night. I just thought, and I don't look at just individual at bats or games and say, oh, turn the corner. I thought tonight was telltale in that he stayed within himself. I've never seen Ranger Suarez act the way he did in Cincinnati the other night. He was pissed at the pitchers, or at the umpires rather, got himself off keel. I think we may have seen a little bit of a turnaround from Ranger Suarez tonight, Spencer.
And that would be huge going forward.
Yes,
because like I said, we were talking about him being in the bullpen, and me and Sean talked about is second half Ranger just a thing, especially going into a contract year where if you're other teams, you don't want to hear, this guy kind of just falls off the side of a hill every second half of every season of his career. But it started like tonight, where against a great Mariners, like I said, that Mariners lineup is maybe one of the best I've seen top to bottom in baseball. And to shut them down like that was really, really confidence boosting. It should be for Phillies fans, and it should be for the Phillies. And because we'll wrap up with this, I think with the Wheeler news happening, I'm sure there was some sort of meeting where Bryce, Kyle, somebody, one of those leaders rallied the troops, right? And to have them come out on a game like this shows that whatever message that was sent, if they ended up having this meeting, the message was well received throughout the team, scoring 12 runs on 21 hits, and you have a great performance from Ranger Suarez.
Yeah, could be. Could be that they had a talk with each other, or they might have had a prayer session or whatever, and a little, like, look, let's do this for Zach. And we've been around professional sports for a long time. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes your feelings are so with a teammate that's going through this that it takes your mind off the game, but it doesn't seem to have done that to the Phillies the last couple of days. And look, if you have to make a rallying cry, not that you're looking anything past what's the most obvious, and that's his health. But, if you got to go forward and say, do it for him, go ahead, have at it, and we'll see how it all plays out.
Let's do it. The season rolling on here. As the Phillies continue their series against the Mariners. Now, look, if on Tuesday night they come out and they get shut out, we can all pump the brakes. We can pump the brakes and tell them everyone is okay. So, Bob, is there anything else that you wanted to hit on before we wrap up here?
Let's see. My wife has a big birthday coming up, so I want to say happy birthday to her.
Heck
Had a nice
yeah,
party
baby.
for her on Friday night. No, I think we're good. I think these next few days are really telltale. When a major injury comes about in sports that I've covered throughout the years, it's really a sign, a real sign of the team, Spencer, of who they are when adversity hits. So this is the biggest adversity they've had this year. Let's see how it all plays out, and I think you'll get a real telltale sign of who the Phillies are.
It is, and it's one of the biggest adversities that this team as a whole, if we've seen them stay together, stay collective. It's one of the biggest adversities that they had, this core group. So if they can come out the way they did Monday and finish off the season in this aspect, I'm feeling pretty confident heading into Red October. So, well, we'll catch you guys at some point this week. Then, hopefully, either before the National Series or maybe on Friday night heading into Saturday. But Bob will be joining us as well. Bob, we'll see you at the ballpark tomorrow. Looking forward to that. And thank you so much for joining us again, man. That was awesome. So I hope you had a good time.
You are the man, Spencer. Don't ever forget that.
I appreciate you, man. And I tell you what, I'll never forget, even if days roll on, baby, we're still got 24 hours in a day and we're going to keep moving.
Don't forget that. It never changes.
I love it. I love it.
All right, buddy.
For Bob Cooney, I am Spencer McKercher. Thank you for listening to Phillies Talk presented by Team Toyota.